Hello everybody and welcome to my review of Star Trek Picard Season 1 Episode 8 Broken Pieces, which in retrospect could actually be the title for the whole series, but let's get to it. Okay, so the episode starts 14 years ago on a planet called Grief World. You know, because it wouldn't be Star Trek Picard if there wasn't some dark stuff going on. So anyway, on this planet, there's a bunch of Romulans, including crazy Romulan XB, who we saw a couple of episodes ago, that freaked out when she saw Soji, claiming that she was going to be the destroyer. And we see one half of Twincest, and we are joined by Commodore O, who has left her sunglasses out of the action this time, despite looking very hot where they are. They're doing some kind of ritual, and they see this prophecy of destruction, okay? Not from the future, y'all. Keep this in mind, okay? But something that happened 11th billionth years ago, all right? Where the synths went on Terminator and decided that the organics maybe shouldn't be running the galaxy, and they almost destroyed them all, right? So, based on a past experience, again, a past experience, everybody goes crazy, okay, about what they see. All right, they just go mad, except for Twincest and Commodore O. All right, and they decide that they need to put an end to all synthetic life. Now we find out that crazy Romulan XB is actually Twincest's aunt, who raised them after their parents died, and so she has a particular soft spot for her. Now, this seems to me like it's supposed to be kind of character development and why she is the way that she is. However, it's too little, too late, and at this point, I really could care less, okay? Plus, somebody tell me why crazy Romulan XB has like red hair. Like, no Romulan, like, or Vulcan has red hair, so why does she have red hair? Like, just cause they think it's just cool to look at? Okay, whatever. Okay, so meanwhile, Picard and Soji, they beam back onto the ship, all right? And it's chaos and confusion because everybody's freaking out because Brafi has figured out that Killer Agnes is the spy, all right? Now, check this out because when she tells Picard, all right, that she thinks that Killer Agnes is the spy, at first he doesn't believe her. You know, he honestly, you know, it's like, you know, are you sure? You know, who says this? You know, and she's like, you know, well, we found the tracker. You know, he just kind of keeps making excuses for her until she has to get one of the vanity projects, the Doctor Vanity, to sort of back up what it is that she's saying and that she thinks that she killed Maddox too. All right, now I want to say that I was really upset with the way that Picard dismisses Rafi. And one of the things that I've seen in this series is that everybody comes to Rafi when they need help. Oh, she's so brilliant. They need her help. They need her to pull the strings. They need her to do this and that and the other thing. But she seems to get very little respect from them in return. And it's just really, really, really starting to like rub me the wrong way. Okay. So anyway, after the Dr. Vanity, I'm gonna call him Dr. Vanity, confirms it, Picard, you know, is still kind of reluctant. Like he still doesn't really want to believe it. And the question is why? Like again, he just met Killer Agnes like 2 weeks ago. Like why is he and Rios like so invested in her being a good guy? Like I just don't get it. So meanwhile, when Soji beamed up with Picard, Rios saw her and like completely and totally freaked out. He freaked out and he like did a disappearing act, all right? And you know, because Rafi is a better friend to Rios than he will ever be to her, she decides that she's going to try and figure out sort of what's going on and why he's acting the way that he's acting, right? So Meanwhile, Eleanor is trapped on the Borg ship following Hugh's death, and the Romulans have actually managed to corner him. And they're just about to take him into custody when Seven of Nine like shows out of nowhere and basically like rescues him. And he's so relieved that he runs and gives her a hug. Now, I really like this scene. I thought that it really showed kind of, even though he's like this bad warrior, he's still like a kid at heart, and he was just really genuinely happy to see her. And she comforts him and she's like, where's Hugh? He's dead, honey. Dead, dead, dead. For absolutely positively no reason at all. But, hey, them's the breaks, right? So meanwhile, we get back to the ship, and Picard is in his little, study den like place where he holds court. And in my opinion, what is one of the most unlike Picard scenes ever. All right, he is contacting Clancy about everything that happens, and he is absolutely positively taunting her about it. Oh, you thought that I was crazy. Oh, you thought I was just, trying to be relevant. Oh, you didn't believe me. But it turns out I was right. Nanny, nanny, boo, boo. Really? That's something that Jean-Luc Picard would do? Okay. So to her credit, at least she tells Picard to shut the F up, all right? Which he finally does, long enough for her to tell him that she is going to send a fleet to where they're going. They're going next to Deep Space 12 to help them and just to stay put till they get there. Although I don't know if that's such a good idea, because the person who she might tell about the plan is Commodore O, who we know is the spy, but I guess we have to see how that's gonna play out. All right. Also, did you ever think, just ever imagine, that you would see the day when the great Jean-Luc Picard, master statesman, legendary speechmaker, would call somebody a waste of space? Me neither. But hey, I guess that's just the way he's rolling these days. So, meanwhile, Rothy, won't come out of his room. However, in a scene that I think is supposed to be cute, but is actually more clawing than anything, we get all of his little vanity holograms together in a room, while Rothy is trying to figure out what's going on with him. And at the same time, mind you, while she's trying to figure out what's going on with him, she's also trying to figure out what's going on with the greater mystery alone. Okay, because everybody is so caught up in their own feelings and what they're going through to help. Okay, but she's kind of staying on target and she's staying on the mission. All right. So it turns out, okay, that on Rios's, one of his last assignments before leaving Starfleet, there was a first contact with his captain. Now, he practically worshipped his captain. He saw him as a father. He even called him Pops, in his head, like all first officers do. And so he was absolutely positively devastated when on his first contact mission, a young lady and gentleman beamed in, and during the whole meeting process, Captain Pops, which I'm going to end up calling him, shoots them and kills them. And he's freaking out. He doesn't know why he would do something like that. He confronts him. So Captain Pops explains to him that he was ordered by Starfleet to do this, and if he didn't, the Starfleet was going to destroy their ships with all hands on deck. Now, this is still not an acceptable explanation to Rios, who just rides him and rides him and rides him. And now this seems to be a good, honorable man who's already guilt-stricken for what he does, so he ends up committing suicide right there in front of Rios. Rios, of course, freaks out, all right? And decides, after hounding the man about what he did, that he is going to cover it up so that the mission will be complete and that the ship won't be destroyed. which is what the captain was just doing in the first place, and a thing that you hounded him and criticized him to the point where he committed suicide. Okay, yeah. All right. So afterwards, Riaz was so guilt-stricken about everything that happened, the lies, the cover-up, the suicide, that he ended up having a little nervous breakdown, and he was discharged from Starfleet. And that was kind of like what happened to his career. All right. So we find out that the girl actually looked exactly like Soji. And we're going to get into that like a little bit later. All right. What's going on with that? So meanwhile, okay, the girl half of Twincest is walking around the cube Borg, making her usual little stank faces, shooting every XB that she could see, coming up with a plan where she's just going to kill all of the boys that are in stasis. Because don't you know that doing all these things just makes you a bad villain? It just makes you a badass when you're just walking around in leather, just killing people left and right, right? So anyway, Seven of Nine and Eleanor figure out, okay, that the only way that they can escape what is going on is to go into the Borg Queen chamber. Once they get into the chamber, they see what's going on, that the Romulans are actually trying to kill the Borg that is in stasis. And Seven of Nine very reluctantly decides that she's going to hook herself up to the cube as the Borg Queen in order to awaken the Borg in stasis and to get them to sort of come out and save themselves. Not before giving a big speech, okay, about how she wasn't sure that this was the right thing to do, that they were going to be enslaved, they were going to be happily enslaved, and then, even wondering that if she could resist the power of being the Borg Queen, right? So she does all this, and the plan works. The Borg wakes up, all right. The girl half of Twincest, was sauntering off to her ship, to go rendezvous, with her brother, and the Borg get her. I guess they tore apart limb from limb, which is actually kind of the death that she sort of deserved. I know last week I wanted her to be blown up, which, would have been, good. But this is equally as satisfying. Anyway, I'm just glad that she's dead. Finally, a death that I agree with. Okay, so after it's all done, the ship releases Seven of Nine. Okay, it just released Seven of Nine. They're like, Annika still has work to do. Really? Is that easy to be unassimilated? The ship can just decide to let you go? Because I thought that's not the way that it worked. I thought once you were plugged up, that was it. You were plugged up, you were enslaved, you lost your free will. So is it because she was the Borg Queen and the Borg Queen does have some kind of autonomy? I'm not really sure what happened. But anyway, she becomes herself again. All right, and she's been released. So it was sort of much ado about nothing. So meanwhile, we are back on the ship, and Soji and Picard are talking, and they start to talk about what Data was like. All right, and probably in one of the saddest things I've ever heard Picard say, Soji asks Picard if he loves Data, and Picard responds quite sadly, in my opinion, in his own way. Sort of with the implication being that he's not really capable of a lot of love. Really? He didn't love Will, Deanna, Beverly, Geordi, his crew. They weren't his family. I guess I was, watching a different series for the last 7 years. Because yes, Picard was always reserved. But there was no doubt in my mind, or I think anybody's mind, that after all the time that he had spent together with his crew, we're talking 7, 8, 10, more than a decade, that he loved them. But maybe that was just me, just thinking that that's what was going on. And she asked Picard, like, if Data were here instead of you, what would you hope that Data would say about you? And so he lists, this is an interesting scene because he lists a bunch of different things that could either be taken as a really, really good boss figure or almost like a father figure. And I think that's kind of how Soji takes it. And she's like, I think he loved you. Even though Data wasn't physically was not capable of love unless he had his emotion chip in. So that really kind of didn't make any sense, right? But, Picard, seems, kind of touched by it, right? So meanwhile, Killer Agnes wakes up, all right? And Picard, he seems to be really upset, and he tells her that they're on their way to Deep Space 12, and she's going to turn herself in, for killing, Dr. Maddox, right? And so Killer Agnes instantly goes into, victim mode, crying, looking pitiful. She puts the majority of the blame on Commodore O and her sunglasses, and she accuses her of manipulating her and putting poison in her mind. And putting a sonic block in her head so that she couldn't talk about what was going on. Oh, woe is me. I got a good idea. Killer Agnes. How about taking responsibility, okay, for your own behavior and your part in it, okay? You're the one that lied, all right? You're the one that manipulated. You're the one that committed murder. That was you. That was not Commodore or her sunglasses. That was you, all right? And then what really gets me is that she decided she's going to play the suicide card every day. I just think about committing suicide, and it's just the only way that I can get through. Well, you know what? You tried to poison yourself, okay? So if you were really, really trying to kill yourself, I think that you would have succeeded, okay? So just stop. Just stop with this. Nobody's buying it. Well, maybe Picard's buying it, okay? I'm not buying it, okay? Sorry, right? So meanwhile, Soji, she's eavesdropping on the conversation, and as Killer Agnes is telling the story about what she saw and what she knew, okay, wasn't a future prophecy, but again, something that happened 11 billion years ago, and there's no guarantee that it's going to happen again. Okay, so you're just going to roll with the plan, just cuz. Just on the teeniest, tiniest, slightest chance that it might happen again. It might happen again, but don't you think that maybe you should have come up with a better plan than just going around lying and killing? Okay, whatever. So anyway, Soji overhears, and she's like, she knows that she's supposed to be like the destroyer. But again, we're gonna get back to that later when we talk about what was going on Rios's old ship and the first contact and all that kind of stuff. All right. So afterwards, very soon afterwards, Killer Agnes has this scene with Soji, all right? And she's just marveling at everything about her. Oh, can you do this? And can you do that? And can you blink? And can you swallow? And can you sleep? And can you eat? And can you stand up on your head? Oh my God, you're a miracle. And the whole scene just seems out of place and totally wrong. I mean, she's like all smiling and all excited and calling her beautiful. And then afterwards, Soji asks her, like, do you see me as a person? Like, you're going on and on and on about how this marvelous thing, but do you see me as a person, all right? Now, here would have been a time when I could have actually had some respect for Killer Agnes. If she would have said, you know what? You are the culmination of my dream. I think that you are fantastic. I'm absolutely positively in awe of being around you. But no. All right, I don't see you as a person. I'm sorry. I see you as something that's very dangerous. All right, the destroyer. And if I have a chance to kill you, I'm going to take it. All right. Instead, Killer Agnes says, well, now that I've seen you, I would never try to kill you. All right. And she even ends the sentence with, okay. Like, that's just supposed to be reassuring. I mean, that would reassure me. However, in the next scene, we see Soji helping the very fragile palace to the table where everybody is sort of talking and debriefing and trying to figure out what's going on. And she makes this big announcement that she is done with murdering people. She is Killer Agnes no more. And she is going to turn herself in to Star Base 12. And instead of saying, cool, lock yourself up in your room, we're going to put you in the brig, like you've been lying to us for the past 2 weeks, you're capable of murder, we don't know what you're capable of doing. They let her sit at the table and listen to every single thing that they are saying. Really? Rios even asked her if she's alright. Is she alright? Is she alright? Because last time I checked, she was the one that was going around murdering people. Okay? But we need to make sure that she's alright. Okay. Alright. Then she gives this bull speech about how they're the closest thing that she's ever had to. And originally you think she's going to say family, but she ends up, saying crew or whatever. And, she's just really broken up about the way that she's messed it up, okay? And I guess we're supposed to be moved, but I'm still not moved, okay? Do me a favor, Killer Agnes. Go to jail. Go directly to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect 200 bars of latinum. Just go. Meanwhile, Rios explains, in front of the spy. And they all, piece together not only what happened 11 billion years ago with the original synth creators and how it all went bad, but what was going on with the cult, how they destroyed, Mars in order to put everything in place, and, how, I don't know how they know this, but they figure out that Commodore O and, her sunglasses have, been in Starfleet for a very, very, very long time, sort of as a mole to try to work her way up, which, she eventually did to sort of make their plan happen. Now, here's my question, okay? It's funny how all of these people, all right, that fear synth not life, never tried to get their hands on data, never tried to get their hands on lore. All right, like in A Measure of a Man, Dr. Maddox wanted to get data to create more data, like not to stop data. So, I mean, what were they doing exactly? Were they just sort of like biding their time, like waiting around, and as long as data couldn't be replicated, they were cool? But the minute that they started like being able to make robots, it was a problem. However, the robots that they're making weren't really all that advanced. Like Dr. Maddox didn't even like make advanced robots until after he had to flee from the band. Did they see his schematics? Like, did he already have like a successful synth that they knew about? Like, when did they decide that it was time to like to activate their plan and to like to get into gear? Like we have absolutely positively no idea. Although I'm sure we'll find out like kind of later, kind of what happens, right? So meanwhile, we also find out that Commodore O is half Romulan, half Vulcan. Don't ask me how they know this. And I'm also confused too. Can you be half Romulan and half Vulcan? Because aren't they the same species? I mean, you guys, people that know this a little bit better than me, please like let me know in the comments section. But I thought they were the same species that was separated by years and planets and behaviors, but they still sort of had the same like genetic makeup. So I don't know if in that case you could be mixed species. But let me know. I could be wrong. I'm just, I don't know. All right. And of course, Rafi, because she's a genius, she's the one who has figured out a lot of this stuff and what's happened. And again, which really makes the treatment of her really upsetting to me. Like, I get it. Like, she has vices, but you all have vices. Like, Rios, pretty much always has a drink in his hand. He's, he can't handle nothing. Like, he's in his room, sobbing and crying, having nervous breakdowns. Like, Picard has his issues. Like, what makes them better than her? Like, I really, really have a problem with that, and I really hope that that's going to come to an end. All right, so meanwhile, Rios finally gets to the good stuff and talks about how, with Papa Captain, um, about the first contact and all about the killing of the synth, all right? And they all figure out that there is a planet, okay, where the synth come from. Huh? There's a whole planet of synthetic beings, okay? This to me instantly made Soji, all right, and Dash not as important as they were, okay? Because they apparently are just one and two of a whole bunch of kids of Data, right? And not only that, but I thought that they could only be made in pairs, right? And so he's going around like making like twin girls and twin boys, because there was a boy as well that was on First Contact, all look the same. Well, like why? Like what is the purpose of that? It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, I guess we'll see that later, but I just don't understand the logic of that. All right. And if she is, one of like hundreds or whatever, we don't know how many other sis, then again, is she technically like Data's daughter? Is she technically Data's daughter? Are we going to go around saying, oh, these are Data's children? Because at that point, then it just becomes like nonsensical. And again, the specialness of who she is, in my opinion, is taken away. All right. Soji gets all excited like when she hears this, and she hears like she has family and she's gonna go rescue them, and she tries to like hijack the ship, right? Even though taking them straight to the planet is going to bypass Deep Space 12, where the Starfleet Armada that's supposed to be helping them is going to be waiting, and where we can finally put Killer Agnes in jail where she belongs, all right? Now, Rios manages to get his shit back, but Picard, steps in and it's like, you know what, let's do things her way. Okay, fine, right? And so Picard, after convincing them that they're going to go straight to the planet, sits in the captain's chair, all right? And in a moment, just to remind us, okay, that this isn't your old school Star Trek, okay? Picard figures out that he can't figure out how to break the ship because he doesn't know what the new technology is doing, all right? And so, again, just a subtle hint to the fact that, sort of out with the old and with the new. And so he gets up, and then, Rios, the young guy, is sort of able to sort of take back his captaincy or whatever. I mean, you feel however you feel about that, And so they're sort of off to the planet with the Romulans following close behind, okay? Now, I want to talk a little bit about the last speech that Picard gives in the end, okay? So Picard knew a little bit about Captain Papa because he was the first officer, somebody that Picard had a lot of respect for, okay? And Picard gives a speech about how important this mission is, about, how the Federation gave into fear and how it's not right and the future is not promised and blah, 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 blah. And I agree with all that, and that's all well and good. But I feel like they give these speeches or they say these things, they talk about hope and light and all this stuff in order to say, see, this is a show about hope. See, this is a show about light. See, this is a show in the vein of Gene Roddenberry's Future. See, we've lightened up and we've gotten rid of the darkness like we promised. But it's one thing to say these things, but then you're showing something that's completely and totally different, okay? You can't just put a speech together and negate like all of the stuff that we have seen in the episodes or in episodes past. It just doesn't work that way. Like Picard doesn't automatically become a bright series about hope and light and love just because Picard says a few platitudes like at the end of the episode. Like that just doesn't work. I'm sorry, or at least it just doesn't work on me. All right, I'm not buying it. Okay. All right, so that concludes my review of this particular episode. I do have a question around like the synth planet. Like this is not the first time we've seen a planet of synth. Like if you guys, I do just have a lot of questions. Like I'm really interested about the synth world. I am fascinated about that to kind of see what was going on and kind of what Maddox was thinking. Why he created these scents that all look alike. You're gonna see that as well. Also, I want to know, like, why Agnes gets a pass for everything that she does. Like, oh, she killed Dr. Maddox. Oh, where these things happen. Like, she's sorry. She says she's sorry. I mean, I think there's even this part, like, that I missed, but she says she's sorry. Like, that's just supposed to make it all better. Like, I just don't understand it. Again, I could understand if this was a character that these people have known, but they've literally only known her for 2 weeks. All right, it's just actually really starting to bother me. Okay, I just I'm not gonna get it. All right. How does Eleanor and Seven of Nine reconnect with Picard? I guess we'll see that, soon. Everybody's headed toward the planet. She has Seven of Nine hooked herself up to the Borg cube, so I'm assuming that from that, like, she knows the coordinations and the way to get there, and so that's kind of going to be interesting. What's going to be sort of the relationship between somebody that is an ex-Borg that was part synthetic, part organic, and having a relationship with someone that's all synthetic? I'm kind of interested to see that as well. So I guess that's all until next week. And of course, my question continues: where is Beverly? Till next time.